Welcome to the Intentional Awakening Podcast with your hosts, Kathy Brewer and Terrie Huberman.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the Intentional Awakening Podcast. I'm your co-host, Terrie Huberman.
And I am Kathy Groover, and we're going to do our traditional pick an angel card. What will it be today?
Word of the day.
Courage.
Oh boy. Courage.
Courage. Courage
That's
is a good one. We can all use a little more courage. Wasn't it the lion that wanted courage? I actually met him.
Oh,
the original lion from Wizard of Oz. I met him in Florida.
Oh my
Very
gosh.
sweet man. He let me run lines with him for Cocoon. I sat on the beach with him and ran lines.
Did he have really chubby cheeks in real life? Like, were they just like, oh, sweet,
he was
sweet. I just want to.
He was very like, yeah, he was very that. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the guy whose name I can't remember. Gifford, Jack Guilford was his name.
Oh, there you go.
We're here to talk about interpretation. So we all have our biases and we all have our brains, and we're all vastly intelligent, all of you listening. It's everybody else that's the problem, right? But I was watching the dumbest TV show ever, but it's brilliant, is AP Bio. They have all the seasons on Netflix, and near one of the final episodes, they had this psychic woman told them they saw images, right? And they interpreted these images, and they thought so-and-so was going to have an affair. They thought so-and-so was going to die. They thought so-and-so, because they saw this image in their head and interpreted it. Well, you get to the end of the episode and every single image happened exactly as described, but they interpreted it completely wrong.
Yep.
The people that they thought were going to have an affair, her earring got stuck on his shirt, so she was laying on top of him and rolling around. They interpreted that as having an affair. The other woman I can't remember what happened to her. She had a cloth thrown over her and she couldn't breathe, so she thought she was going to die, but in reality she could just push the cloth off. But it was comical, of course, the way they did it. But how often have we completely misinterpreted this message from the divine, this tarot card reading, this psychic whatever it is? And you're in this realm more than me, so talk to me about interpretation and how we don't get stuck in this realm of completely misinterpreting symbols or the time on the clock or all those things.
Yeah, this is definitely the story of my business, basically, whenever I'm doing readings. So as somebody who is highly intuitive and sensitive to energy, and we all have this capability. So it's not an elitist thing or this person has these gifts. It's just some people have had more practice at it than others, so their muscle is stronger, let's just say.
Yeah.
We have, how do I say this? But it's almost like our own inner lingo, our own inner language. And a lot of times it is developed through our physical human experience, right? So we'll get symbols. Well, it also depends on what your clair is, what your primary clair is. So in the psychic world, you have clairsentience, which is clair is French for clear. Clairsentience, so that's clear feeling. Clairaudience, clear hearing. Clairvoyance, clear seeing. Clairaudience, clear smelling, and clairgustance, which is clear tasting, which are the five senses, right? And then you have claircognizance, which is the sixth sense, right? So the ESP, which actually brings all those together. So when someone is giving information to somebody and they're channeling it or it's intuitively, and a lot of times you don't even have to be a psychic, you're not getting a reading, you're just giving advice, right? A therapist will do this or whatnot. You're giving this information based on your own internal lingo, and you're doing the best that you can to not just interpret that information, but to translate that information. And so the person receiving this information has to understand. And it's when you're giving a reading, it's like, hey, look, I just want you to, and this is what I always say, don't be married to the exact literal words that I say. because your language, Kathy, is different than my language, right?
Yep.
So it has to resonate. That's why people are, people are also so poo 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 on psychics if they don't like if the psychic says something and it doesn't happen exactly that way. Well, again, it is up for interpretation.
And it's what could happen if nothing changes.
It's what could
So if
happen if
you
nothing changes. Exactly.
so if you make a different choice, that reading is out the window because you've just altered that future.
And it can happen within seconds of your reading. Like
Yep.
I can't tell you how many times people thought just the same circumstance that you talked about with AP Bio, where people were like, no, this will never happen. That's ridiculous. Because again, that's your interpretation. That's how you're translating the data given to you. And then a
Yep.
year later, they're like, holy I get so many emails. Oh my God, Terrie, you were right. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm like, all I was just giving you was information based on how you were in that moment energetically. But again, it's when whether you do or do not interpret the same way, it's based on your own
Hmm.
inner language.
Sure.
And so my primary language, I have two primary languages in this world. It's clairsentience, I feel information, and
Hmm.
clairaudience, I hear information. Well, if you're not clairaudient or you're not clairsentient, but you're more clairvoyant, you may not be seeing the interpretation the same way because you're seeing it and I'm feeling it, right? So in your
Right.
head, you're like,
Oh, 100%.
this can't possibly happen, because again, we each have these strengths. And the way my theory is based on how you learn
Hmm.
is like your primary sense of communication. So, for example, I'm an experiential learner. Like, I have to, and when I hear a lecture and I'm writing it down and then I go and I do it, I can get it.
Hmm.
I'm like a really quick learner,
Yep.
right? So, but there are people who are more visual, and I'll be like,
Oh,
I can't see what you're doing. So, we
yep.
are not speaking the same language.
Yep.
So,
I'm a visual kinesthetic. Yep.
yeah,
Totally.
and I'm an audio kinesthetic. So it's like that's why we do have something in common. That's why we can still communicate pretty clearly. But there'll be some times where you're like, no, I see it this way. And I'm like, well, I see how she could see it this way, but I actually see it this way. But it's still,
Hmm.
again, paradox. We're still seeing it the same. So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
What are
I
you
love that.
thinking?
Well, I agree with everything you just said. I'm going to look at it from a different perspective, which is people who get locked into this one interpretation of that
Yes.
thing,
Mhm.
and they refuse to. Every time I see a parrot, it means, and it's like it could, but also that's like getting a dream, one of those dream books. 10,000 dreams interpreted. Just because you dreamt about dogs and I dreamt about dogs, I have a different perspective on dogs than you. What was the dog doing? What did it look like? Was it my
Yeah.
grandfather? We don't know. And this is the thing, it's our human brains that want so desperately to believe
Yes.
things.
Hmm.
Um, and there's patterns, which is
Hmm.
what astrology is, right? It's pattern recognition.
Hmm.
But I mean, I have throughout my life of working with clients, both massage clients, coaching clients, hypnosis clients, that got so stuck in this lane
Yep.
of this has to mean this because they want so desperately for that to be true. They want to believe that every bird is their grandmother. They want to believe that every time they hear a whistle, it's their brother telling them something from beyond. And I think people find comfort in that in ways, but I don't know if it's the healthiest choice because are you deluding yourself? But then
Mhm.
again, who am I to say that not every bird is your grandmother? So, it's that then that comes the paradox,
Right.
right?
Right. Well, I think if I can go just a little deeper from the human perspective, I I think why people can't see past a certain definition or they're so stuck in one way, it's to create safety. They may have had some sort of trauma in their life.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, well, that's part of the pattern, right? So, trying to get control, like, no, that's my grandmother, makes them feel safe in this world, right?
Hmm.
Makes them feel better, and then they're able to get up, have their coffee, go to work because grandma is sitting on the sill. So yes, who are we to say that that's grandma or not grandma? But I think that's why people, it's that rigid mindset. It's the
Right.
rigid mindset versus growth mindset too.
But also the problem is that bird's only got a 3 to 5 year lifespan. So at year 6, when grandma stops showing up on the windowsill every morning, are you not going to be able to function because you're living your life through this idea of this symbol?
Yeah,
And they're great, they're great arrows, but the map is not the destination.
correct.
So we have to remember that, yeah, there might be these messages coming through, but to 100, and I 100% nothing, right? 100% relying on these things or counting on these things or imbuing these things with so much power, I get it. And there can be a not danger, but there can be a real trap in doing that, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's a bypass. I think it's a by
Mm,
I think it's
yeah.
a bypass, and we can go on and on and on about spiritually bypassing because you want to talk about a pet peeve in the spiritual world. That would be my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah.
But,
Just added it to the episode list.
yay, Kathy. Yeah, so I mean, that could just be somebody who really doesn't want to deal with whatever trauma or experience that they've had, so they have to transfer it onto something else. And yeah, if that something else disappears, they're gonna have to deal with those repercussions, and it may not be nice or pretty. But then we go back to the
Yeah.
human aspect, and then we can even go to, I mean, then we can grow into the spiritual aspect of, okay, this is an evolution of the soul that what needs to go through, right? Which awakening happens. We have an episode coming up with phases, right? And then dark night of the soul and like the whole thing. So
Yeah.
everything kind of comes together. And that's why I'm always saying, like, it is not easy to navigate this human experience as a spiritual being, because that's what we are. We're wearing
Yeah.
earth suits.
Yeah. I
So that
call them
makes
our
us
meat suits.
human. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, for everybody listening slash watching, when we have these discussions, we're not claiming to have the answer to
Oh
this.
God, no.
This is, and we're bringing up, I mean, to look at, this giant Capricorn list of future episodes. These are things that interest both of us that we
Yeah,
have some maybe working knowledge of. And sometimes I might throw out something that we have no freaking idea what we're talking about, but we're
right,
working through it. And
right.
this is why I love discussions like this, because it's discussions like this that help to clarify things.
Yeah.
And I've had so many clients in my office, because most of my massage clients, we tend to chat most of the time. It's like we are like, why did we not record this? We just solved all the world's problems in this last hour. Like, because it's different people sharing ideas and views. And though you and I have
Yeah,
a lot of similar views, I think
yeah,
we also bring different experiences to it where we're
right.
going to come up with things that are really fascinating. So I'm so excited that we're doing this.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
anything else that we need to know? I mean, we kind of covered everything with interpretation, right? Not getting locked into it being right, not,
Yeah. I mean, just being open to hearing and then, well, the word is curious. I think the word is curiosity
mm,
because then you're not
my favorite
locked in
thing.
it. Then you're not locked into anything. And energetically, curiosity kind of gives you some play, and which is the total opposite vibrational frequency of trauma, play and
Yeah.
trauma. So curiosity just takes off so much pressure, especially if you're a perfectionist. All right, let's be curious about something, right? So these are just
Hmm.
all different energies that are meant and designed to move through the body. But when you become curious about something, I feel like then those blinders can come off and now you can start seeing different perspectives and different views. And that's
Yeah.
what's really
Yeah.
important to grow.
I agree with you. And this is, I think, when I first started reading tarot cards, the guy who trained me was like, do not try to read your own cards.
Oh
because
God.
our because our bias is like, oh, good, he's gonna love me, and I got the promotion, and everything's fine. In 2 weeks, everything will be because we want that so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
I do read cards for myself, I read cards that have an interpretation built into them, that I
Nice.
can read the little book and to see what it is, as
Yeah.
opposed to just tossing out the Queen of Cups and going, oh, I know what that means.
Yeah.
I might know what
Yeah.
it means for somebody else in that scenario,
Yeah.
but to interpret for myself, I've
Yeah.
told people, I'm like, don't read your own cards
Mm,
like that.
don't.
Have some call Terrie. She'll do it for you. Cool. All right. This was great. All right. I am Kathy Groover. I can be reached at kathygroover.coach.
And I'm Terrie Huberman. You can check me out at terriehuberman.com. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We're so looking forward to hanging out with you again in our next episode. See you then.
See you next week.